We'll turn these
We're
lights
rusty.
on. It's been a minute, so I forgot to turn the lights on. So I apologize. So thank you, Kate, for jumping up and grabbing that.
It's because I'm on the right.
You're the closest
Yep.
to access. So. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Night Live.
Yes, the best night of the week.
We are sure excited to join you tonight and be able to present again, as always, timely life coaching videos and personal development videos to help you understand yourself, to be able to help you guide and move yourself in your personal health journey.
Absolutely. I just have to give a quick shout out because I said the best night of the week, which is my line. If you didn't know, that's my line.
That's a tagline.
I just made it my line. But every Tuesday evening after we get done with live, I get to go hang out with our life coaching peeps, with all the beautiful individuals that are going through the life coach training course that Dean and I are doing. And I come from this and I go to that conversation, and Tuesday night really is becoming the best night of the week for me. Like, yeah. It's not just a tagline anymore.
It's legit
way
of life.
Because we get to have beautiful conversations that typically kind of just spiral off what we are talking about in some of the learning pieces that we are moving through at the moment with them, and the curriculum that we're reading, and the deep dives that they're doing in their life and doing their own healing work and all that stuff. So it's just been super cool. So shout out to everybody doing the coaching program.
Yeah, we're super stoked. It's been amazing to watch their growth and watch their progress, and I'm just amazed.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of growth and speaking of personal growth, one of the things we really felt like would be important to talk about tonight, and that is the personal growth and your personal development journey and the importance of it. And I think that's always been a very interesting thing to me, because it's so easy to kind of get off into the weeds of the comfort zone and to really get off into those spaces and places where we can kind of get complacent, we can get comfortable, and which is so intriguing to me, because a lot of times what brings people in to see us, right? What really brings people into our couch or our chair is some type of an event.
Right.
It's some type of motivation or situation that has become unmanageable. Uncomfortable or unmanageable. And I've always used that analogy of dentistry. You know, like we always avoid the dentist, we avoid our 6-month cleaning, we avoid that process. And the only time we'll ever go to the dentist is when we have an inflammation, you know, I have a hurting tooth or an abscess or something. Then I'll go in when it's a crisis, and we want that immediate release, we want that immediate relief. The challenge we have is that everything that we could have done on a preventative level, everything we could have done to mitigate the issues by going in and getting the cleaning, by getting the things done and getting the x-rays, looking for potential issues, could have changed the whole game. But now we're in this inflamed hurt and pain.
Right.
So it's funny how it parallels the work that people do on themselves. And so I wanted to, you know, I pitched this to Kate, and I'm like, how about we talk a little bit about the value and the importance of that journey and getting involved in it, even when you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Trust us. We'll help you.
We're really good at that.
We're really good at that.
In fact, that reminds me of, every Monday night here at TurningLeaf, we have what we call Move Your Feet group. And it's for anybody that's gone through the Level 1 Awakening seminar at any point over the last 20 years that seminars have been going on. With TurningLeaf anyway, right?
Yep.
You can show up Monday night, 6 p.m. You're going to find me and a bunch of people that are continuing to move our feet, keep growing and in the healing process like we're talking about tonight, right?
Yes.
And we had someone just start sharing last night. They're like, oh, things have been pretty okay. And they just kind of start talking about what's been going on in their life. And all of a sudden we like stumbled upon this thing, right? Like this experience, this event, this thought pattern, whatever it can look like. And it was a beautiful aha moment, some good healing that was discovered, some good places to kind of get in there and do just a little bit of cleanup work on the teeth, right?
Yep.
And so I completely agree. Like that, well, I don't really know what's going. Well, look, there is something. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, and it's so intriguing too, because if you've lived life, and that's, I think, the part of that we've got to also look at is it's the wear and tear of life. And I think a lot of times we get this expectation that you just kind of navigate through life and I'm good, I don't have anything falling off, I don't have any, I'm not like a lung hanging out, or I don't have somebody walking out on me, or I don't have somebody in addiction or whatever it is. So we just think, well, there's no issue, there's no problem. But just like my car, if we drawing parallels, just like my vehicle, there's the normal wear and tear of its existence.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it exists, there is this level of impact that is being had on that vehicle, just being in the sun and the road and the moisture and the dry, and all of those types of things can eventually start to wear and tear on a vehicle. Well, we're the same way. There's so much everyday normal wear and tear that can impact over time how we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves, how we see our relationships, the experiences that we have. And so many times, again, one of the other things I see is people that really downplay traumas or pains or situations, and they have a way of just either downplaying them or denying them,
tucking it under the rug,
or
mentalizing.
Thank you.
You're
Compartmentalizing it. Jeez. Shoving it in that box and shoving it way away so I don't have to deal with it. And in a lot of ways, that is a coping mechanism, but it's not a healthy coping mechanism. And that's, I think, a big part of that journey that we have.
Well, it's fascinating to me, because I think if we all get really honest, like I love to do, you guys know that, right? Like all of us do that at some part of our world experience, and the different facets, right? Like it's easier for me to like get into healing and confront different types of areas in my life, and maybe some others I'm just like, we're just gonna put that sugar addiction right over here and not look at it, right? Whatever that looks like.
Right.
So we all know what that looks like, no matter how aggressively we're attacking our healing or how avoidantly we are. But the fact of the matter is, if you put it under the rug or put it in a box and put it in the corner, it's affecting you.
Absolutely.
You think it's not. You think you've got it figured out. You think you've moved on. But there are behaviors that you're doing. There are experiences that you're having. There's attractive or repulsive things, energetically speaking, that are going on in your world because of that thing that you think is hiding.
Yeah.
Like it's such a funny little catch-22.
It is. Well, and it's so interesting too, as you say that, because it's impacting you on that social level that you're talking about, but it's also impacting you on a physical level.
Oh, absolutely. Probably even more so on a physical level.
Right? And we see that a lot, where over time there are these physical situations where people are coming in and they're struggling on a physical level with something. And, whether it be, they've, like, I think of one of the most common examples for me that I see is where individuals have put aside their own personal health, and they get into their, late 30s, 40s, and their 50s, and they haven't been able to take care of their own physical health. They're not exercising, they're not eating healthy, and there's this weight that has been put on and all these things that are impacting how they feel physically, but they put off all of their emotional pieces as well. So it's not just the physical aspect that's being impacted, it's the emotional pieces that they've been pushing away. And I get it. I mean, I know why we do it. It's we're raising kids, we're trying to push a company forward, we're trying to build our dreams, we're trying to whatever it is that we're trying, we always have, and this is the part that's important to recognize is there's always a reason. There's always a reason that we put those things ahead of ourselves, but there's always a price we pay. And that's the wear and tear. That's why at some point when we're ready, we come in, we sit down, and we get, we get into the healing process.
Yeah, absolutely. There's that like ism, I guess, for lack of a better word, of we work so hard in our youth to accumulate wealth, and then when we're old, we spend our wealth to try to regain our youth.
Yes.
Right? Like it's just that rat race, that silly game we play as a human.
It is, and that is such a intriguing concept to really kind of find that balance. And I find myself in that space right now in my life. I'm in my later 50s. I'm moving into those 60s, and as I move into those years and I start thinking about the quality of life and how much time I have left to spend it, and what do I want to do with this part of my life, and a lot of that is going to be dictated by how I lived the last 20 years.
Yes.
And the healing and the growth and what I've done to kind of help myself experience that. And that's where our growth, our need to do that healing, the physical healing, the emotional healing, all of the healing, the mental healing, all of the things that we really need to do in order to become who we want to become and to enjoy life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To enjoy the life that we've been given.
Yeah. And as we're talking about this, it's this idea of taking ownership in your healing journey on all those different aspects of us, right? I'm just smiling because I can't think of a single person that I've either experienced and witnessed their healing, that I've in one counteraction or another, right? Like either in relationship or in professionalism, or myself, not a single one of them has looked the same.
Right.
And I think that gets us stuck sometimes, as we see someone else on a healing journey and we think that's the way that it needs to be done. And we don't really want to do it that way, right? We're like, I think the box is fine over there, right? I don't want to do it the way that so-and-so's doing, or that seems really scary, or whatever that may look like. And I'm just smiling because of how different that looks for everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
I always think about it like Amazon. Right?
Yeah.
You get on Amazon, you look at the shirt, you look at the pants, you look at the shoes. That's how it's going to look on me. You get it home, you put it on, and that's not how it looks.
Thank heavens for
fits,
return policy.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can return it. But it's that idea that we're always looking before we jump into healing. What is this going to look like? What's it going to cost me?
Yep.
What am I going to, how uncomfortable is it going to be?
Yep.
And that's unfortunately one of the decision-making processes, is because a lot of times people will be like, well, I'm not that uncomfortable yet.
Yeah.
So I'll put it off.
Right.
I'm not ready yet, because if I have to deal with this, I saw so-and-so go through something like that, or it's not as bad as.
Right, yes.
And so I really don't need. And all of those reasons are reasons that we don't do it. But I always go back to that original thought. If it was like your 6-month cleaning, which I encourage people, if people just came and sat on the couch every 6 months once, or even just once a year, once to twice a year, did the emotional and mental maintenance that you can do in such a simple way, it would be game changer.
Oh, total game changer. The amount of crisis that would be averted is exponential, right? Like the possibility is exponential.
Yeah. Because my favorite part is people are like, well, I'm not experiencing those things. Well, think about the people in your life though. Like, you may not be experiencing it because they're experiencing it because of you.
Yes.
And that's another piece. A lot of times I see that where, we don't recognize the impact we're having on other people because I'm not doing the work that I'm doing. So it's like, well, why are these people avoiding me? Why am I, why is nobody calling to go do this together? Or why, all these types of things. And a lot of times it's because there is some type of a cost where people are maybe avoiding you or avoiding those situations because the impact of you not doing the work that you need to do is keeping them from being involved in your life. And I know that, I see that, I hear it all the time. It's like, well, I don't even want to go near this person because of this or because of that.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm just thinking how this topic really ties in with a couple of our, well, probably more than two, but I just have two that are standing out in my mind. A couple of our core values that we have here at Turning Leaf, right?
Yep.
Which one of them is accountability.
Yep.
So getting accountable for your own healing and your own growth and doing your work. And then the other one is growing, like not staying in that comfort zone or staying complacent or just riding the low tide, so to speak, right? Like getting out there and actively growing yourself.
Yep. That evolution of who we are and who we can become, and getting into that higher self, that greater self that can actually bring us more resilience and more ability to experience life. And that's, I think, the other part too that people forget is we don't do our personal healing and our personal development to avoid discomfort. That's not what it's about. You know, the reason we do the work is so that we have the coping skills and the tools and the capacity when the discomfort comes.
Absolutely.
And instead of defaulting to the avoidance, instead of defaulting to the numbing, instead of defaulting to the dramas and the hurts and the pains that can be worse because we don't use or don't have the mechanisms we need.
Absolutely. It's like those storms of life are coming on the seasonal changes, just like we were in the redwoods at a wedding, right? And
one of our people two of our people got
married. Congratulations. And there was just this giant storm that went through like 2 days before that, knocked down trees and power lines and all. Like life is going to bring us storms. When we do our work, it increases our capacity to resiliently ride through them. That's what it does.
Yeah. And I love that you bring that up, because one of the comments that had been made, I had overheard somebody talking about it, is that we can be in two positions. We can be in the reactive position where we wait till the storm comes and the power lines are knocked out, or we can do the maintenance so that when the storms come, it doesn't knock down the power lines. And that was very interesting. As I overheard that comment being made, I thought, yeah, that's a very powerful thought. Is, you know, if we're not in that proactive, creative, growing place you were talking about, the storms come, the branches go down, the traumas are there that are greater than they need to be, versus doing the trimming of the trees and the branches and looking for the deadfall and maintenance, all that stuff that we can do so that when the storms come, it's still going to have power. You know, we still may have some power outages, still may have, but it won't be, because it was. I mean, it was wild.
It was wild.
We're driving through, power lines were down, we're driving
over power lines.
We're driving, they just barely cut logs so we could drive through. Like it was bananas.
But we had to get a whole new hotel room.
My sister and your sister had to find a different spot. So it was really a cool experience, but it was also a very great metaphor, and I'm glad that you pulled that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So our challenge to you, dear viewers, is to see where you get a little accountable in your world, right? Like what parts do need some of that pruning, right? Like the trimming away of the foliage that's not going to be helpful the next storm that comes through. And then getting really honest about the best way that's going to help you in that process. Maybe that is coming and hanging out with Dean or I. Maybe that is, getting into nature more. Maybe, I don't know. There's so many different ways. Like, again,
reading,
so
learning,
many
listening.
Options to help in the growing and the healing. So, but the piece that we're driving home is get accountable for it and get to work.
Get the work.
The cool part is too, I will say this, one of my favorite pieces, and I might cry because it's a big deal. One of my favorite pieces about getting brave and starting to do your own work and move your life forward in healing and growth is the kind of people that you start to meet when you do that.
Yeah.
because it's the warriors that are in doing the work, right? Like, and I get emotional because they're my people, you know, they're my family, they are my tribe, and there's just so much more to gain when you get brave than you ever would lose in your healing journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to be with kindred spirits, people that get you and can stand there as you're struggling and look at you and say, I get it, and you got this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, as always, we've run out of time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing our videos. Thank you for being a part of our Turning Leaf family. Please, if you have any questions, information that you want, suggestions, please reach out to us. IM us, right? IM? DM?
DM IM?
I don't know.
Call, text, whatever you want.
Text. Camry's amazing. She'll make sure you get what you need. You guys are amazing. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on
Tuesday Night Live.
The best night of the week.
Hey, that was pretty good.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.